laundry and cleaning. And we've been doing that for about 2 years. Prior to that, I co-founded a company called Andela. We built software engineering pipeline for distributed teams. I did that for about 5 years. And then before that, I was a member of Fora, an edtech startup as well. And prior to that, I was a computer science student, like trying to build my career. So I hope that the things I would share today will be meaningful to you. And I'm going to keep the first part of the conversation very, very short. I do not have any slides prepared. I just have, I have the bullet points, and I'll keep that part short because I think the most value from this conversation will come from the Q&A. So I'm really looking forward to that part. Can you guys hear me okay? Joseph, can you hear me okay? Okay, good. So the topic is lifelong learning and the pivotal role it plays in building a successful career. So just to start off, I'll just ask a question, like who likes to make money? You can type your answer in the chat, or you can unmute your mic and like say something.
I love to make money.
Yeah, it looks like you're the only one who likes to make money in this group. And like, if if that is the case, then we probably shouldn't be talking about career, because like I believe that that's the main driving force for most people when it comes to career. It's like, how do you make money? How do you make more money? And then like, if we really want to be seen as good people, we'll say, oh, like it's not just about money, it's about impact. But I think if we're keeping it real, I think the main reason why human beings have jobs is to make money to feed themselves and their families. And so the question now is like, how do you make money? How do we make money? We make money by exchanging value. Like money is just a store of value, right? So we create value for someone or for something, and then people give us money in exchange, and we use that money and we get value from other people, and we exchange it for things that we find valuable. And so it's like, when we think about lifelong learning and the role it plays in building a successful career, it's like, if we give our skills in exchange for money, then to grow in our careers, to make more money, we have to figure out how to offer more value in terms of our skills. So we cannot keep offering the same level of skill and value and expect to increase our income. So like this is most likely obvious, but like the general reason why we want successful careers, and the reason why we want to grow, and the reason why we learn for the rest of our life, so we can continue to earn more and more and more. But that is not the only reason why lifelong learning is important. That is just one of the reasons, because especially in technology, the other question is what happens when the industry changes? What happens when there's a paradigm shift? What happens when there is new knowledge? What happens when there is new demand for a different kind of value that does not exist today? And that is where lifelong learning becomes the most interesting for me. Is that in tech, if you don't keep learning, you're going to become obsolete. And if you become obsolete, then now your earning potential even like has the ability to decline instead of going up. So it's super important to keep learning so that we can grow our careers, and also so that when the industry changes, we can adapt with it and continue to add value. So it's pretty straightforward. The next question that I received in the agenda was like the most valuable piece of advice I've received so far. The most piece of advice I've received personally, I'm going to say two things. The first one is one that's personally very helpful for me, and the other believe will be helpful for multiple people. And the first one is and listen as if you're wrong. Like we all have views relating to life, relationships, family, the world, and all of that stuff, and even career, even technology. We have our own views, and we are convicted in our views. We believe that we are right, but like the best ways to learn are to engage in. One of the best ways to learn is to engage in debate with other people who have opposing views from yours. Because if you're able to argue as if you are right and communicate what you believe is correct, chances are you would learn how to communicate your ideas better. And if you listen as if you were wrong, chances are you're going to learn something completely new, because like the people who hold opposing views to us are not entirely stupid, right? Or they're not stupid. They have valid reasons for believing what they believe. So listening to them is going to open gateways of knowledge for us as well. The second piece of advice that has been super valuable to me, which I think would be useful for us here, is choose your hard. So the essence of choose your hard is coming from the philosophy that everything in life is hard. Like life in itself by nature is hard. It is hard to work out. Working out is very hard. It's also hard to be unfit. Like living a life when your body's not healthy is also hard. If we bring it back to career and lifelong learning new things is hard. Learning new things is scary, but career stagnation is also hard. Career stagnation is also scary. Career stagnation is also not fun. So going with that realization that like everything is hard and choosing our hard, for me, it removes that fear of like wanting to try new things, or the fear that, oh, if I try to do something new, it's going to be difficult. Well, like not doing it is also going to lead to a difficult outcome. So remember to choose your hard. Whenever you think something that's going to be beneficial to you is too hard to do, remember that if you do not do it, chances are you're also going to create a difficult outcome for yourself in future. What has had the greatest impact on my career? The internet. I think the internet is likely like one of humanity's greatest inventions. The fact that we can have this conversation in this place is incredible. I have knowledge on the internet on every topic, and almost everything that you're trying to do, you can find the resources online. And so for me, that has been transformational in my career, because where in the past learning trajectory was mostly linear through school, now it can be exponential, because like we have all of the world's learning resources at our fingertips just through the internet. Moving to Nigeria is also something that's had a massive impact on my career. I used to live in Toronto, and when I moved to Lagos in 2014 for the first time to start Andela, it was a big revelation for me, because it gave me a renewed sense of purpose. And there's a lot of things that we can build. There's a lot of things that we can do. It is more exciting to take a place where infrastructure does not necessarily exist for the best quality of life, and then do things that would make it good. So that's very interesting to me. If I never moved back to Nigeria, I probably wouldn't have this sense of purpose that I have now. So I'm super grateful for that. And then lastly, before we jump into the fun part of this conversation, which is Q&A, last thing I'll share is 3 values or principles that have guided my journey. The first one is YOLO, you only live once, which is like, it is something that is usually said when people are about to make bad decisions, but it can also be very powerful when you apply it to big career decisions. The premise of YOLO and you only live once is that like we don't want to be 70 and regret not trying things or not learning things or not doing things that we were interested in when we were younger. So that principle for me is like to just do it. Like overthinking about things, especially when it comes to like career decisions that move you into a new space, overthinking those things is probably unproductive, because the way I like to think about it is wherever you are today, this is the minimum you ever be in your career as long as you keep learning. And so like jumping into new fields, learning new things, taking on new challenges, no matter how hard, no matter how impossible, the outcome is always that you move up. And so overthinking is unproductive. So whenever you're in that, just think YOLO. The second one is the world rewards action. A little bit similar to the first principle, but it doesn't. Like there are lots of ideas, lots of wishes everywhere, also lots of desires in the world, but like the world doesn't care about what we desire. The world does not care about what we want. The world does not care about our wishes or our goals. The world only cares about what we do. And so that's why I live by that principle. The world rewards action. And then the last one is just add value. Wherever you find yourself, add value. Even if it's as simple as a party, add value to the party. Like if you're showing up to a party, like what vibes are you contributing? So some people might go to a party and be like, this party is boring, but like you didn't do anything to make the party more exciting than it was when you met it. And I think people that add value attract value. If we use the example of a party, people who go to parties and make them fun are usually the people that get invited to more parties. And the same principle applies everywhere in life. Like people in tech who build things that enable other people to do better work are usually the ones that get the most recognition. They're usually the ones that are the first to know when new job opportunities come up. They're usually the ones to know when good investment opportunities come up. So people who add value tend to attract value. So wherever you find yourself, add value. And that will be it. And we can jump into the Q&A.
Wow. That was so packed, like, so packed. Thank you so much, Nadayar. I learned a lot from this a very short session. And I'm sure that during the question and answer session, we'll be able to, dig in deeper. Something that is very, so please kindly drop your questions in the chat so that, we can ask, I'm sure Nadayar can see them himself. But before we start now, I would like to just, highlight some of the key things you said, starting from the last one, which is adding value. You said that you're only invited to the party that you add value to, those kind of people that they are the one, if they are not there, there's no party, those kind of thing. I've seen that kind of thing before, and there's no how you want to do party that you don't want to invite those kind of people. I think for me, I've learned that's really like loaded for me. I'll always try as much as possible for things that matters to me, try and add value so that they can always invite me next time. You only get a seat at the table for where you are adding value. Thank you so much for that. On the 3 values that has guided your journey, YOLO, 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 right? You only live once. One of the things you said is that you said you don't wait to be 70 and regret your life. A lot of people just keep overthinking. Stop overthinking. Get out there and do. There's a song that is very popular on Instagram now. Someday you leave this world behind, so live a life that you remember, something like that. That's just what I remember when you said that. In camp we always say that, Joseph, stop singing. That's not my talent. But somehow the song has powerful message in it. Wherever you are today, that is the minimum you will ever be. That's one of the things you said. That's the minimum you will ever be. So you can only get better. So don't stop overthinking and adding so much value. The more you learn, the better you get. The other point you talked about is the world does not care about what you think, but what you do. The world rewards action. Get into action. Be the action guy. Don't wait for someone to tell you what to do. Be the action guy. We also talked about the power of internet. Talked about internet, that it takes you From traditional learning, the internet gives you an opportunity for exponential learning. I also talked about moving to Nigeria. I think the lesson in that one is that sometimes we need to change the environment for us to see opportunities and all of that. So be open your eyes, open your mindset. I think currently what you are doing as a Skillup student, is bringing you to a totally new world. You are learning new possibilities. I think you should open your mind to that, reality. So please, I want us to start sending in our questions. So somebody just asked this, what's the second principle of yours that you talked about? So you talked about second principle. I don't know if you want to still,
Yeah, I mean, I said it in the chat, but the second thing was the world rewards action. So the first one was YOLO, the second one was the world rewards action, and the third one is add value.
Add value, absolutely. So that's just what I just reiterated. And so, okay, so let me ask a question, because this is what I want to make money. When you started, you asked the question that who wants to really make money. I don't know if you really understand that question very well, but I really understand that question in a way, and I would like to ask a question because I want to make more money. What would you advise someone who, in the early days of Andela, I interacted largely with, Andela, even from starting in about Macaulay. I knew that time when he just came around, and, and we're very excited in the ecosystem to see that kind of thinking and mindset. So what is that advice you give to people? Because then there were a lot of fresh people who just came into your program and they learned how to code. And then you see that broke guy that is always asking for Gen 2K, all of a sudden is now working for Andela. And then 1 year later, the guy has gone to America. You now see in his resume, he worked for Andela, but he also worked for maybe Pluralsight or something. All of a sudden, things that were so far away, in a year or two, people's lives were changing. What would you say is the most important thing to focus on as you start your career? In terms of technically, what are the most important technical skills you must, develop for you to be able to, get such an opportunity? Where is Nadayar still here? Okay, I guess it dropped off.
Yeah, sorry, my internet cut out.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Okay. So what is that most important technical skill you have to develop in your first 3, 6, 1 year, so that you can prepare yourself for bigger opportunities that can just show up, like what happened to people who got into Andela, from the beginning?
Okay, let me paraphrase to make sure I understand. You're asking what are the first few skills that you can learn when you're starting your tech career?
Absolutely. Technical skills, yeah. Focus on, yeah.
I'm laughing because there are different ways to answer. It really depends on what you want to do. I'd say the most important skills to learn very early are not even technical skills. They're not technical skills. It is the other professional skills that are even more important. So, for example, communication. Like, nobody wants to work with an engineer or a developer that can communicate. And that includes writing. Writing is huge. It also includes verbal communication, not necessarily as much, but it's more about like the things around communication will be like the quality of the writing, like clearly communicating, and then also all the things that surround communication, like how do you work with with stakeholders? How do you work with a team? How do you make sure that you're responsive whenever people ask it? How do you repeat what people said back to you to make sure that you understand what they're saying? How do you ask questions when you don't understand what is being said? Like those skills are things that we kind of overlook. But like if you look at the engineers that went through Andela versus engineers you find everywhere else, is these things are the difference. And like it is these things that make it possible for Andela engineers to work anywhere in the world. It's not just about their coding ability. And like these things are so foundational, and they should be worked on very early in your career before you're stuck in your ways. The other reason why I approach of focusing on skills like communication and like writing and stakeholder management and all of that stuff is because, I mean, these days, for someone living in Nigeria and working in tech, one of the most lucrative things you can do is to work remotely. So like working for a company in the US or Europe and then getting paid in foreign currency is like the perfect like thing, right? And there's so many tech jobs out there that are not coding. My favorite one for new people that are getting to tech is technical writing. So imagine like writing technical blog posts and then getting paid like $3,000 a month. And like you're actually not coding, you're writing articles. And some of the articles that you're writing are maybe you read like 10 other articles that other people have written and you summarize them into one article. And so you don't even have to be like a great coder to do that. But if you're a terrible writer, you cannot do that. It's one of my favorite things. So I have actually seen a few people get into technical writing, and like they use technical writing as their source of income while getting better at being a developer or being a software engineer. So they actually like living pretty well and earning pretty well, and then they become like really good engineers, and then like they just have an exponential trajectory. So that'll be my recommendation. It's like focus on those professional skills that would give you leverage longer term.
Wow, thank you so much. That's so powerful. That's some expensive secret you're giving us there. So Nkem asks that, how do you approach finding a job and positioning yourself in a way that differentiates you in the job market? So how do you differentiate yourself?
It's a wonderful question, right? So if you go back to those three principles, the last one was about adding value. The best way to differentiate yourself is by communicating the value. It's how you communicate the value that you add. So, for example, if Joseph, if you're hiring, let's say you're hiring a designer, which designer are you gonna hire? The person who shows you a portfolio of like designs that they have done, or the person who tells you about the things that they have learned about design, or the person that takes your company and actually does a full redesign of it? Like, which one of those three are you going to like most likely be interested in?
Most likely,
assuming that the designs that you see are good, right?
most likely the third, yeah.
Yes, right. So because that person has communicated that they have the skill to add value, and they've also communicated that they have the willingness to add value to you specifically. This is not just something generic. So like to directly answer Inkem's question about like positioning, it's like invest in communicating your value across different platforms. So whether it's like Twitter or LinkedIn or GitHub, like all those places where you can communicate value by showing your work, you should definitely like show your work. And then for finding a job, this one is a little bit more tricky. So I mean, there are jobs on job boards, right? Like Jobberman, Remote.io, and all them places. But even beyond that, I'd say for people who want to stand out when they're looking for jobs, I would advise people to headhunt the companies that they want to work for. It's like identify the companies that you would like to work for, and then find a way to reach out to them. You can reach out to them through social media. I mean, at Eden Life, we get Twitter messages and Instagram messages almost every day of people asking if we're hiring, and the only people that we answer are the people that actually like talk to us as if they know what we are doing. Like they've shown us that they've done their research about the company. They've shown us that the things that they're interested in doing are things that the company is aligned with, and they're saying, hey, I know you guys are really into this home services thing. I worked at a laundry company for the last 3 years, and I'm not satisfied with the way laundry is done in Nigeria. I believe that I can add value to your laundry products in XYZ. Like that's the person I want to talk to, not the person who messaged and just be like, hey, I'm looking for an internship, I'm looking for a job. So in the aside from job boards, I'd say like the best ways to find opportunities are to like target the companies that you're looking to work at, like do your research on those companies. And the first message you send to them should be messages that communicate alignment and value. And then other than that, like just keeping your eyes peeled on social media and other forums to see like what's gonna be out there.
Wow. Thank you so much. That was so packed. I know one student told me recently that he wanted to get into a particular fintech company, and he had to, he had talked to them before, apply for internship, but they didn't select him. And so he now worked on a prototype of a fintech idea he had, and then he sent it to them. He said 15 minutes later, they called him. That same day, he spoke with the CEO of the fintech. That was like some few months ago. He currently works there. So this is so like practical. Thank you so much. Charles Abul asked, he said, how do we overcome the major challenge that faces people from Nigeria regarding trust and reputation, considering negative impressions Nigerians get from international organizations? Is there something we can do in tech space to change this negative narrative? You guys went to taking Nigerians, to now working in this global company. There was no question asked and all that. Tell us, how did you do that? I guess that's the kind of question he's trying to ask. Nadayar, can you hear me?
No, it's definitely my internet.
Okay.
My internet is choppy. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. You got the question, right?
Okay. Yeah, I did. You know that saying that when the only tool you have is the hammer, everything else looks like a nail. For this question, because my this question is value. So when you ask times, people do not care. I don't even hear the whole Nigerians as scammers narrative that much these days. Maybe it's because of the circle that I'm in, but whenever I meet people who are in tech in Europe, or I meet people who are in tech in the US, and I say, oh, I'm Nigerian, they're like, oh yeah, like we know a few great engineers. We actually like have worked with one or two of them, because like lots of Nigerians have now emigrated to Germany and emigrated to Estonia and emigrated to places like Holland and Amsterdam, and like they're doing great work and people recognize them for that work. So to those people, when they think of Nigerians, they think of excellent engineers. And so I believe that to change this narrative, there has to be more value that is created from the people who are doing good things than there are incidences of people who are doing bad things. So the way that we do it is by each playing our part, by adding value in whatever thing that we are doing.
Wow, thank you for that. So we need to just contribute our own individual quota in the bid add to that work. I believe that Andela and a couple of organizations have over time, we've exported some of our quality talent, and they are seeing our real self, who we really are. And I also believe that some of the negative images are also people who are disguising themselves as Nigerians, using it, for fraud and all of that. And I think the more you have, so sitting at, so from university, one of the things I've seen is sometimes you have people come in and they chat you. You see a female face on Instagram, for example, and what you say, oh, I want to learn how to code. And when the conversation gets interesting and you ask the person for their name, you see a full male name. I'm like, what's going on? Just later on, somebody explained to me that some of these guys, what they are doing on the internet is different, though. And that was when it dawned on me that creating an avenue like what we're doing at Skillup Africa, for people to learn how to code and all that, is one of the ways we're actually changing the narrative, because then we are basically pulling people to show them that, see, share is what you want to make. There's a better way you can make it, that EFCC will never go after you, and that for me is, so, powerful. So, guys, this opportunity comes once in a lifetime. It's not every time you get an opportunity to speak with the founder of Eden Live. Eden Live is like, one of the, biggest startup. They raised money recently. I mean, so you should know that the people behind it they are not just ordinary people. So please ask any question you want to ask now. Fantastic. All right. So Nkem just asked a very important questions. And before I read the question, please, if you cannot articulate the question, just write it whatever way you want to write it, right? I'll try and articulate it for you and read it out to him. So Nkem just asked, is it important to get work experience before launching your own company?
I think it's useful. It's not critical, but it's useful. I would explain. So it's not critical to get work experience before launching your own company, because, I mean, anyone can build anything that has value, right? However, we have to define what in that piece of advice. So looking at the surface level, we can interpret work experience as working at an established company or working in an existing company. Mark Zuckerberg did not work at any company before he started Facebook, right? He dropped out of university and started Facebook. Aware building experience, he had experience building things, and I think that's the important thing to.
Please, can you
hear me?
Yeah, we lost you for a bit. We lost you for a bit. Do you want to take that again? We only heard where you talked about Mark Zuckerberg dropped out of university.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just going to define in the question, because if we interpret work experience as formal work experience like a company, then it's not have work experience before launching your own company. But it's important to have experience building things before launching your own company. Like, you have to have made things before, because about making things. Now is more advantageous. It's not necessary. It is more advantageous work experience before launching your company. Why? Because company is doing things. About leadership. It's about partnership. Things that you asked if you did before.
Sorry, we'll be back shortly. I guess the network. I hope you're having a great time, every single person of us, every one of us. I hope we're enjoying ourselves. This is one of the best place you should be right now. If you're not here, you are missing. And please, if you have any question, don't come and ask me. I won't answer you. Ask it now. Okay, great. Olaimi says she's having a great time. Nadayar is back. Thank you, Charles. All right, Nadayar.
Yo, sorry about the network connection. Yeah. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I'll summarize what I was trying to say, and the summary is that it's not necessary to have work experience for starting your company, because as long as you can build stuff, you'll be okay. And then the other thing I'd say is it is advantageous for you to have work experience for launching your company. And the reason why it is advantageous is because building a company is not just about building a product. It's about leadership. It's about crafting vision. It's about organization. And like all of these are things that will be easier if you have seen it before. If you've seen examples of these things before, it's easier for you to like build and run a company. If you haven't seen these things before and you want to build a company, then you have to be very good at self-learning. You have to be very good at finding resources to learn these things. Or you have to be surrounded by people who have seen these things before and can give you good advice.
Absolutely. Wow, thank you so much. So there's a follow-up question that Nkemha asked. She said, how can you build your portfolio without having a job yet? How is it possible? You learned how to code and you need a portfolio to get a job. How do you build a portfolio?
This is specifically for tech, right? I mean, build things that solve problems that you care about. I think that's the most fun way to do it, because then when you're actually doing it, you're getting fulfillment while you're doing it, so it's more enjoyable. The second alternative is to emulate things that already exist. So look at things that already exist and try to build a replica of it. I like that second option because when people see your portfolio, it's more relatable because they've already seen these things that exist in real life. So when they see your copy of it, it's easy for them to compare and assess your abilities.
Wow. Thank you. Someone even asked, do you have opening at Eden? Your question is not specific. What kind of opening? Do you have a portfolio? Have you tried to code Eden app? So Nadayar, do you have opening? No. A data scientist. He has even written a plugin, a Python library, has developed one himself. So I'm selling his market now.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, I'm interested in having a conversation actually. So let's see, because at this stage in our company, we're trying to build data intelligence capabilities on every team. And it's also a rare skill set in the market. And I would just be very upfront about the kinds of data people that we are interested in. we have met and worked with analysts who are really good at analyzing data, but most of them suck at presenting data, presenting insights. And so like they're great at the math, they're great at the analysis. When it comes to the language around how that data or these insights are communicated to teams to be able to take action on them, like things are lacking. So if you have those, I'd be very, very interested in chatting.
Hey, thanks a lot for that info. Someone actually asked, what prospect do you have about data science and how do you advise a beginner to navigate the career path in data science? I think you've partly answered that question, but if you can add to it. So don't just be good enough as a data analyst also be able to communicate it. That's data visualization.
Yeah, because that's the whole point, right? Yeah, the whole point is for the people who do not have the data skill set to get insights and know what to do to like improve whatever it is they're trying to improve. So to me, that's like very, very important. So going back to that, those foundational skills we talked about before, it's about the communication, it's about the writing. Like, those are the things that are important in the world of business. So I would advise people who are in data science or that field to heavily invest in that muscle as well.
Wow, thank you so much. Onome, you're trying to say something. You have to say something now. Let's not leave it to these boys alone to be asking questions. Nkem is very passionate about women speaking up. I'm not sure if she's here. If she's here, she'll really challenge you. We have a couple of them. Florence, you've not asked any question. Okay, is this a woman or a man? I won't take a question from a guy again. All right, but I'll take this last. So Florence, Rachel, please. Gloria, Amida, please, all of you, Olayemi, you haven't said something at least. Please, you have to ask question. Okay, from Kaya Services, okay. You mentioned YOLO, which is really solid, but what would you say to someone who still gets scared to apply to roles because they feel they are unqualified?
Well, it's YOLO, right? Because like what is the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is you don't get the job, which is where you already are before you applied. So that's how I see it. Now I'm going to throw in another caveat. The other caveat is that while YOLO is great for things like applying to jobs that one might be unqualified for, at the point where you're taking that YOLO decision to apply for this job that you're qualified for, also mentally prepare for the eventuality that you get the job. Like, if the worst happens and you don't get the job, fine. Nothing really changes except that you now learned a few things through the application process. But in the event that you get the job, now you actually have to do it. So my recommendation for people who are taking this approach is to keep in mind that in the event that they get the job, they have to perform the work. And even if you don't have the skills immediately to perform the work, then you have to be ready to put in twice the effort because you're going to be learning while performing the work. So it's just that mental preparation is important. But yeah, I encourage people to like apply, explore. The worst case is that you learn something new.
Fantastic. So our female folks are finally asking questions. So someone just asked that, do you have a percentage allocated to women for job openings when hiring?
No, we do not. We hire the best qualified people for the work, and we do not discriminate. We encourage women to apply. We encourage people of every sexual orientation to apply. There are some cases where we have specifically said we want women to apply. For example, our engineering team, last year when we were hiring 2 engineers, we specifically said only women can apply for this role. And that's because we know that for engineering, the market just heavily skews towards men anyways. So we did that, but we do not have any percentage of roles like specifically allocated to women. We just hire who is the best candidate.
And I'm sure as a woman, you still have to be the best, like, best amongst them. So
yes, 100%. Like, you still have to be qualified to perform the work. All right. I believe that for every role out there, there are qualified women for the work.
All right. Thank you. That question was from Kelly. So this is Fumilola. Fumilola asks, there are some job opportunities where the job qualification will be stated, and if some of the requirements are not met, should we still apply for the role, specifically if years of experience was needed?
100% you should apply. If you believe you can add value, you should definitely apply. Why? So look at the minds of the person who is creating the job application description, right? Like that person, first and foremost, probably copied some generic thing from some job sites. They probably copied some template, and they want to look serious and look professional. So they're going to put things like, you must know XYZ, ABC, you must have 20 years experience in a language that has only existed for 2 years. Like they're gonna have like silly things like that. So the most important thing is to look at what the actual job function is. What is this job like going to do? And can I do it? Or do I want to do it? And if the answer is yes, you should apply. Do not do the recruiter's job for them by disqualifying yourself. Let them be the ones that disqualify you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This has been such a powerful session, Nadayar. In the next couple of minutes, about 3 minutes, we'll be wrapping up. But there are still some very important questions here, which I'd like to, give to you. Do you think a Nigerian who just finished learning a tech skill stands a chance in landing international jobs, especially internships? How can I think the question should be, how can a Nigerian who just finished learning tech skill land an international job or internship?
Yeah, like you never know until you take the chance, right? Back to YOLO. It's like you actually never know until you take the chance. So are there people who have landed international jobs or internships without experience? They just learn the tech skill and they get a job. 100%. There are people who are like that. So the question is, what is it that those people did? And it's all the things that we've talked about. Is like having a good online presence that communicates value. It is specifically targeting companies that they want to work at. It is looking for job boards where remote jobs are posted, and then applying to those jobs, and then like preparing for the eventuality that you might be successful.
Wow, it's getting really interesting. I'm just going to select from all these questions. Lots of these questions are coming in. Someone asked if you allow interns, if you accept interns at Andela. Does tech skill have age limit for entry level? I just decided to pair those two questions together. Do you allow interns at Andela? Does tech skill have age limit at entry level?
When I was at Andela, we hired interns. I am no longer there. I no longer work there. So I do not know what the intern situation is like. But I'm sure if you go to the website and look at the careers page, you would see what's open there. For age, no, there's no age limits in tech. Like it doesn't exist. Some of the best engineers that we had at Andela were, I remember these two people. One of them was 17 at the time when he joined, and the other one was somewhere around 18 and hadn't gone to university. Both of them never went to university. Like in this world, nobody cares about things like that. Like if you ever apply for a job and they ask you for your age, you should probably not work at that place, because it means those people don't care about value. They care about things that like, what is the inherent value in age?
Cool, Jeff. Yeah. Thanks a lot for that. So Florence's question now, she said, so earlier you mentioned learning technical writing. What advice do you have in this area? So that means, how do I learn technical writing? I mean, are there channels or resources that you can recommend to help one learn and build the skill? There are two packed questions. The other one there, what do you advise someone who's just finished a product design course, who hope to take time to learn and build his or her skill to stage before applying for jobs or internships? Did you get the second question?
I do. So for the first one, like how to learn technical writing, I do not know. I think if you started on if you started on just like Google or Stack Overflow or Reddit, you might find some technical writing communities, and they probably have like tips and things. I'm pretty sure if you just run a Google search saying how to be a technical writer, you would find things. So you can start there. And for number two on advice for someone who is finished product design course, who wants to take time to learn and build their skill, what do I advise? Just keep designing. It's like that saying that the difference between writers and other people is that writers write. Difference between designers and other people is designers design. So whether you have a job or not, like if you're looking to grow your skill as a designer, you should be designing stuff. And if you're looking for things to design, like recreate designs of products that you love, or design products that you imagine that you would use. You can go wrong with those two things.
Wow, thank you so much, Nadayar. I'm afraid this we're going to have to draw the curtain at this point. It's been such an interesting loaded session with Nadayar Enegesi, founder and co-founder and CEO of Eden Live, co-founder Andela, co-founder Fora, is a serial entrepreneur in the house. Thank you so much, Nadayar. Ifemide and the question from Career Services, I guess you have answered those questions before. Yes, the answer is yes. And Ifemide, the answer is also yes. The answer is during the course of this question session. Nadayar, we just want to thank you. I think at this point, we can all unmute and say thank you to Nadayar. We really appreciate you for this power pack session. We will not be the same again. I can assure you that. This is like a revival session. And so someday I'm sure someone here will buy you a Ferrari for some of the tips you just given to them, because they applied it. So thank you so much, Nadayar. We hope that next time we reach out to you, you'll be willing to to talk to us, to honor our invite. Thank you so much.
For sure. Thanks so much, Joseph. Thanks for to everyone at Skillup Africa. I wish you guys all the best.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Nadayar. Have a good one.
Thank you very much, Nadayar. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. So thank you. See you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.